This is Michael, the host of the WDYM podcast. You ever hear an episode and want to give your 2 cents? Now you have that option with the text and talk. In each episode description up at the top, you see the option for text and talk. Hit that link, start texting, and I'll start talking. Be a part of the WDYM podcast and start text and talking with me.
You're listening to the WDYM, the What Do You Mean podcast, Hamilton's #1 podcast. Now sit back and relax. Here's Hamilton's own Michael Gillespie.
And welcome to the WDYM podcast. I'm your host, Michael Gillespie. How you doing? How are you guys doing? Hope everything is good. Hope everything is well in your neck of the woods. So just to get right into it, I just want to let you guys know this recording or this podcast happened before the results of the election, because that's the hot topic of America, is who's going to be president of the United States heading for the next 4 years. It's interesting to say the least, because being alive this long, you know that things has been super crazy when it comes to politics and everything. And now that everybody has a voice via social media, everybody has a voice. So therefore, it's just absolutely bonkers how everybody has an opinion. Everybody can state their opinion. Everybody can record their opinion. And boom, that's why we have crazy politics as of now. So today's episode is, again, prior to the election, the results. What's been going on, my thoughts on it, and some other things about it. So, first off, it was a rematch of the last presidential vote. It was initially Sleepy Joe Biden, and the Republican nominee, Donald Trump. And and before we even got to anything, you can see the rapid decline of Joe Biden. So it was initially set up to fail when you had old Joe up there doing all that stuff. So what the Democrats did is that they just said, hey ho, we're just going to switch to the Vice President Kamala Harris. And this is where the whole trickery of politics goes on. Who in the absolute heck did anybody nominate Kamala Harris to be the Democratic nominee? This is the problem with politics, because I sure as heck didn't vote for her. Not saying that I would not have voted for her. Okay? Not saying that I would not have voted for her. But just to say, okay, she's the Democratic nominee and nobody gets to say so about that. That is absolutely wrong in my book. So she is the Democratic nominee because they basically forced Joe out, which was which is the right choice, just so to say that. That dude he was way past his prime. The only reason why he probably got in there is because of the horrendous job that Donald Trump did when he did his thing the first time. So as that happens, she's now campaigning across the world with maybe 4 or 5 months to go. And I question that, as was that something smart to do? Basically, the whole Democratic thing was kind of crazy to begin with. So if you're going to take somebody out, put somebody in, they're not ready or they're not familiar with the people, you're doing an uphill climb. But I will say this. She's going against probably one of the worst Republican nominees ever into Donald Trump. So we will see what happens with that. So as the campaign continued, we had an assassin attempt on Donald Trump. Now, okay, so again, not that that's funny. It's not. He gets shot in his ear, and from the looks of it, it connected, bled, and miraculously healed because there is no physical damage to that ear. I don't care what you say. You look at all the pictures, not a chunk missing from his ear. Now, let me rewind the time to a boxing match happened in the 90s where Mike Tyson bit off Evander Holyfield's ear. You can Google the, before Evander Holyfield got his ear torn off, you can see what his ear looked like then, before the bite, after the bite, and now. And last time I checked, ears don't heal. I don't think they do. And you can still see that Evander Holyfield still has a chunk missing from his ear. My opinion is that something was off about that whole thing. But nevertheless, we don't go out trying to assassinate people. So I think, that really got people hyped up about the idea of Donald Trump running for president. Because after that, he's all with the pumping fists, screaming, fight, fight, fight. And, I think that really riled up some people and got people amped up about his campaign to return to office. And when things like that happen, an assassination attempt, it riles up people, right? And based on what I've seen on X, Twitter, Twitter, people were amped up about that moment. When things happen like that, they have the right to be. And then it happens again on his resort in Mar-a-Lago. It happened. And again, another attempt. And thankfully, it was a failed attempt. And, he was safe and everything. And, that guy is in jail, deserved rightfully so. And, that just gets his base energized. So it comes to a point of what can these candidates do for the people, right? Basically, and I'm gonna keep it real with you guys. Basically, I feel like we're being thrown Kamala Harris. Like, hey, you got to vote Kamala. It's the right thing to do. She has these policies and everything for small businesses, for tax breaks and everything. And I don't hear a solid plan from the Republican side. And it kind of worries me that he doesn't have a plan for the people other than what I have heard, which is, the tariffs for imports and everything. But I mean, if you know a little bit about it, you know that, tariffs are just basically back on us. But I'm not here for that. You know what I'm saying? I just, you guys got to do your own research as far as who you want for president when that time happens. So who do you got? Who do you think is going to win? Do you have the upstart from the Democratic side, Kamala Harris, and then you have Donald Trump? And, me looking at it, it's weird to say. So I will get into that later in the episode as far as my prediction, who's going to win, and then we go forward from there. But on the other side of things, I decided to do something this campaign, this election thing. I decided to do something to see how things work and stuff. So I volunteered to work the polls. Now, wait, before you start, not those polls, okay? Not those polls, actually political polls. I decided to help with my local election and, actually see if you can actually still campaign. That was still a presidential election. Because that was the claim 4 years ago, was that, it was stolen, and this whole time, that was the claim. It was stolen, a stolen election, and all that stuff. So I said, you know what? Let me see if you can actually try to steal an election. How is that possible? So I did the class, and tomorrow, in fact, I get to do it. I get to do it and see, one, how the American people, or at least the people in Ohio, specifically Hamilton, Ohio, See how they vote. Now, I don't get to actually see their votes, but you get the general sense when someone comes in, like, okay, that person's probably voting for Trump. That person's probably voting for Kamala Harris and all that stuff. The thing about it is I'm working all day tomorrow. All day tomorrow, I'm going to be there from the butt crack of morning to the butt crack of night. I'm going to be there working the polls. Don't know exactly what I'm doing yet, but, to do this experience, to get to, the vibe of the people and everything before the actual votes come in, I think that's going to be interesting. So we'll see how that goes. So, who do you got? Who do you got coming into the White House for the next 4 years? I'm going to give you my personal opinion on it, and then we're just going to go from there. With that being said, in my opinion, I don't see a way Donald Trump gets in there based on the past 4 years. The past 4 years, he's not been in the White House, right? Everything that has happened to him since then. January 6th, that's the biggest one for me. January 6th is probably the biggest moment, in my opinion, that should eliminate him from being able to even run for president as a veteran. That to me is catastrophic to me. Of course, he's been recorded as a felon, as a rapist. He's got those 3 Supreme Court judge seats to overturn Roe vs. Wade. So all these things that are rights now, or things that are injustice, that believe in high morals, right? You don't overrun your government. And people say, well, he didn't tell people to actually go do that. Yeah, he didn't say it verbatim, but he hinted at it. And how his base is, they run. Remember, they were ready to hang the vice president just based on what he said. The felony counts in New York case. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but that adds up. Rapist charges. All those things, in my opinion, add up. The overturn of Roe v. Wade, to me, this is just my opinion. Nobody should ever tell another person what to do with their body. And that is something wild to me, that in 2024, that's a thing. This is not the 1950s. This is 2024, and we're telling that woman who may need an abortion for medical purposes, for other purposes, rape, incest, etc., you cannot have an abortion. In America, ladies and gentlemen, we have to look at ourselves in the mirror as a whole. And, and everybody always looks at the economy and everything, and rightfully so. But that stuff plays itself out in the long run, because, somebody creates the debt, somebody recovers the debt. That's the pattern that we have. If you look at it, somebody creates a debt, might go to war, whatever, whatnot. Somebody recovers the debt. It's up and down all the time, right? I focus on the morale of the country. I would like to think that if someone is a felon, that needs to be looked at. Let me ask you this. If a felon came up to you and wanted to do a service, and that they're a felon, would you let them do that service? Hey, man, I want to cut your mother yard. You know what I'm saying? Would you and I'm a felon. Let them know I'm a felon. I'm going to cut your yard. Would you still let that person cut your yard? It's a moral thing that I think is undetermined or unquestioned or not even looked at anymore. It's all about the economy, and everybody has their own rights to whatever they want to view. I just want morality to matter. January 6th, to me as a veteran, like I stated before, that to me is the biggest thing that I hold against Donald Trump. We don't do that. We supposed to be the world ambassador of how to do things the right way and doing things morally correct as much as possible for a country. To stage a coup at the government to a point where people are smearing poop on the walls of our government building. That one hurts so bad. And to actually have that happen on American soil with fellow Americans and people going to jail and people getting shot and killed just for doing their job. And these people are not at war. These people are just doing their 9 to 5 and are getting maced by bear mace. I didn't even know they had mace for bears, but and actually watching that show, yeah, they have bear mace. People getting sprayed with mace, hit with fire hydrants, people shot and killed that are Americans. It's what's bothersome to me. And I hold that against him, right? I'm going to hold that against him because it was not right. That is our fellow Americans. That is our blood. That is our people. That is the people that us veterans go to Afghanistan to fight for. And we're at home acting a monkey because somebody says stage a coup or hints at staging a coup. Just remember that. As a veteran, as a person that has fought wars for you, my people, my own people are attacking their people because of political reasons. It's not right. It's not right. So, does Kamala Harris stand a chance morally? Yes, she does. In my opinion. Again, this is all my opinion and everything. Does she stand a chance to win on a moral basis? Yes. But that's it. And that's it. I still believe in America that we do the right things and we intend to do the right things. The people that you see every day, the people in your neighborhood, we tend to do the right things. There's only a couple of us that do the bad things to advance ourselves or, do that thing. So on a moral compass, I think she can get that. But we're still stuck in the 1950s and 60s, unfortunately. And we're in 2024. What do I mean by that? One, she's a biracial woman. Let that sit in for a second. She's a biracial woman. What chances does she really have? In my book, this is just my opinion, guys. Do you know how long it took for a brother to be president? And now we're asking America to elect a biracial woman. I tend to think that we are advanced enough to accept that, but I've seen too much to know that we're not. And plus, to add to the fact that she is now being shoveled down our throats as the next Democratic nominee. And I just don't think that people know her well enough. People feel comfortable. And all we hear is what she did in California. And then people like to lump the fact that she's the vice president. Ladies and gentlemen, the vice president is just a backup plan. I just want to let you know that. They're just there for, if something happens to the president, you are next in line. And they're like, and people like to lump what President Biden did with her. And like, dog, it's like, he's like, yo, that's what one of the commercials I would have had. Like, hey, I'm the vice president. I got nothing to do with that. Yes, I am Democratic and everything, but yeah, I have my different ideas and policies, but I'm just the vice president. I'm the backup plan. If something happens to the president, I jump in and everything. So, yeah, I just don't think she has enough firepower, star power, political power to make the jump. But last poll I seen from Iowa, she had a 3-point lead. Like, if she could win Iowa, she could win the presidency. It all depends on those battleground states of Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia. And I think she could possibly win Georgia. If she wins Georgia, then I think she has a decent shot to get at least Michigan, Wisconsin. I don't know about Pennsylvania. That one, Pennsylvania, you guys are upset about stuff. Quaker state. You shooting presidents and everything, but I don't know. I just don't think she has enough firepower to win the whole thing. but I can hope that she wins, you know. So at the end of the day, who do I got? I'm leaning towards Kamala Harris because of my nature of being, a person of hope and hoping that things happen. I'm hoping that she wins. But I'm not so sure that America can do all that. I'm not sure America, the country that I love, is ready to elect a biracial woman. Just plain and simple. Look at the abortion thing. That shouldn't even be a topic, but it is. It is a topic. So this is all before the election. All before the election. We'll see what happens. But in the meantime, what the hell has Joe Biden been doing this whole time? Well, you ain't out there campaigning or anything. You ain't even said nothing. I mean, I haven't heard anything like Kamala Harris would be a good candidate. Kamala Harris would be a good president. I think this dude is actually asleep back at the White House, or homeboy's mad. Homeboy is mad at them. Forget y'all. I'm not gonna, no, y'all don't want me here. I'm not helping out there. So, that's the episode of the WDYM. Who do you got as your next president? One can hope, but someone else can make America great again, quote unquote. Last question. When was America ever great? We've been good. The 90s was pretty good. When have we been great? Have a good one.